Well, okay, it's the prequel to the Hannibal movie. I mean, like, no, we don't need a prequel. It's like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You don't need explanation. You don't need backstory, okay? Forget it. But because they are flogging this particular dead horse, we have originally the best of all the Hannibals, as we know, Brian Cox in Manhunt, which on television again the other night. It's just absolutely mesmerising. Then we had Anthony Perkins doing a kind of pantomime.
We had Anthony Hopkins. I think you'll find Anthony
Perkins is Psycho. Thank you. Doing a kind of pantomime in Silence of the Lambs. And thank you for digging me out of that. That was good, though. It was. No, Silence of the Lambs was all right, except for the fact that it was a bit campy. You know, all that stuff about fava beans and a nice candy. You know, it's not really called for.
However,
and then we had
in comparison with Hannibal, where we are led to believe that Hannibal Lecter and Clarice Starling have become an item, I think we go, maybe not. Maybe,
and then he blows it even further by going back to the original, because of course both the novel and the screenplay for this are written by Thomas Harris, who has clearly run completely out of steam. And it's how did Hannibal become Hannibal the Cannibal? We start off in the dog end of World War II. Hannibal and his young sister are on the Eastern Front. Terrible things happen. I can't reveal what they are because that might give away the plot, but terrible, terrible things happen. Years later, Hannibal, now living in France with Gong Li for reasons which are really very contrived, decides to wreak a terrible vengeance on all those people who did terrible things during the war to him and his sister. Once the setup is set up, you realise that Hannibal has to chew his way through X number of things. Okay, there's a number of people that he has to deal with. It's rather like the Munich problem, and you just think, oh, we're going to be here forever. And it goes on and on and on, and the BBFC rating says contains strong bloody violence, and then yes, along comes the strong bloody violence, and it's incredibly dull. And the character backstory is incredibly plodding and really stupid. And I mean, it's amazing because it's directed by Peter Weber, who did Girl with a Pearl Earring, and he's clearly a good director and has a very good eye. He knows how to shoot things stylishly, and yet every single scene just lies there and dies on the screen. There is a majestic performance by Rhys Ifans, who I really, really like, doing the kind of the evil person, and he's just like, he knows.
He'll
what
be
he's
a German
in.
then, will he?
No, he's not German, is he? He's Latvian or Ukrainian or from Yugoslavia or Lithuania or somewhere else, or maybe. I mean, he's that non-specific bad person accent that he does, and I really like Rhys Ifans, and he's clearly having as much fun with it as it is possible to have, and it is really not much fun at all. The thing they need to do is just let this go. Let this go. You don't need to see the Hannibal backstory because there isn't one. You don't need to see the movie of the novel because they were both written, pretty much together, and neither of them should have been made. You don't need to see a third person having a go at the Hannibal Lecter role when Brian Cox did everything that needed to be done in those few scenes that he has in Manhunter. You don't need this anymore. It's not as bad as Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning, but it's not as good as, the Psycho sequels. It's just poor.